In motorsport, there is a fine line between innovation and trickery. Often, a new development can be deemed illegal, and sometimes it is conceived with the intention of being a deceit. In rallying, certain situations have taken authorities off guard, leading to significant penalties and triggering discussions. From swapping entire cars to air tanks, certain teams went far beyond what the rules allowed to gain an advantage. In some cases, the question arises, did trickery really take place? The first case involves none other than the partnership of Michel Muton and Audi. In the 1985 Ivory Coast Rally, Muton's Audi Quattro No. 2 was competing for the top position against Juha Kankkunen's Toyota when it experienced engine issues. Emitting a cloud of white smoke, the damage seemed so severe that her participation was in jeopardy and she would likely retire. Instead of giving up, Muton continued with Franz Brown and Ruud Fischer in the chase car number 11 right behind, and both cars diverted to a parallel road for maintenance. From there, Muton emerged with her Quattro completely repaired and running perfectly, but Brown did not reappear. After completing the race, Audi explained Brown's disappearance by stating that parts were taken from his car to fix Muton's model. Initially believed to be a damaged cylinder head, the team claimed they discovered the actual damage was in an oil pump. The part was swapped between the cars, allowing Muton to continue. In theory, the explanation had no issues as the practice was considered legal. However, Muton's car seemed different after the repair. After comparing the images, journalists became suspicious that Audi had in fact swapped the entire cars. Details such as windshields, body panels, and fog lights fueled rumors so strong that officials decided to inspect the car, even without complaints from competitors. Although no irregularities were found, one detail drew more attention. Muton and co-driver Arne Hertz retired soon after, stating that the car was weak and unsafe. Speaking of Kankkunen, the driver won the WRC championship alongside Carlos Sainz and Didier Auriol from 1992 to 1994. In 1995, the competition was concerned about the safety of drivers and the audience, leading to the introduction of restrictive plates on the turbos. The piece was intended to limit air intake into the engines, reducing the car's power and, consequently, speed. To maintain dominance, the Toyota Team Europe decided to resort to trickery. To circumvent the restriction, engineers used a set of Belleville washers that acted as hidden springs. When the plate was fixed in place, the washers pushed the piece 5 mm farther from the turbo than it should, creating extra space for air intake where it should be sealed. The contraption was simple but very effective, providing drivers with around 50 additional horsepower. The best part of the trick was regarding inspection. Even during the disassembly of the turbo, officials failed to detect the deception, as the springs automatically returned the plate to its position when the equipment was not in use. Thus, the car always complied with the rules during inspection, but violated them during the races. The system was so subtle that it was only discovered in the penultimate rally of the calendar in Catalonia. An official noticed a fracture in the plate, and a closer look at the assembly revealed the trickery. At the time, FIA President Max Mosley admitted that this trick was the most sophisticated he had seen in 30 years of motorsport. For obvious reasons, the Toyota factory team was banned for a year. The idea of getting more air into the engine resurfaced in rallying years later in 2003, this time with Ford. Unlike the Japanese, the American team's proposal involved the use of a titanium air tank. The equipment was hidden under the rear bumper cover of the Ford Focus RS, and its goal was simple. The tank collected pressurized air from the turbo when it operated with partial acceleration or was turned off. The equipment was connected to the tank via a titanium tube, which stored pressurized air until moments of acceleration. When the driver accelerated, a butterfly valve opened and released the air back into the engine's intake manifold. Coming from the tank, the air did not pass through the restrictive plate, giving the engine an extra boost. The strategy afforded drivers an extra 5% of power, but in the end, it did not contribute significantly. Ford's main driver, Marco Martin, won 2 rallies, allowing him to finish the championship only in 5th. The tactic was employed for 3 events until its discovery, and initially, it was not deemed illegal. As the extra air had already passed through the restrictive plate, its use was theoretically legal. However, the FIA disapproved of the concept and opted to prohibit the equipment. Extra tanks were also not a novelty in 2003. In 1991, Lancia had one of the strongest teams in the WRC. With ample funding backing the team, the brand's models had the best possible equipment, water-cooled brakes and suspension, electronic control regulating the car, among others. In the case of the Lancia Delta Integral, a strange situation was observed in the Tour de Corse, held in Corsica. Autosport reporter Keith Oswin noticed that the fire extinguishers of the leading cars, in this case the Deltas, were being replaced more often than usual. The exchanges made no sense since they were in the car only for fire emergencies, which was not the case. Aware of the discovery, some teams began to suspect the Lancia team and spread rumors about the use of irregular fuel in the cars. Some even suspected the use of nitrous oxide, but in the end, nothing was proven. In that specific rally, the factory team finished second, but during the year, Lancia dominated the championship, with Juha Kankkunen winning the title. In that same year, another case involving fuel was detected, but this time, there was a penalty. During the Thousand Lakes Rally in Finland, Timo Salonen's Mitsubishi was disqualified after the organization discovered the use of irregular fuel. The driver had secured third place, and with the disqualification, his position was inherited by his teammate Kenneth Eriksson. Any official with a minimum of common sense would analyze Eriksson's fuel, as it was from the same team, but in that rally, it didn't happen. The driver remained in third, even with suspicions surrounding him. The last case occurred in one of the most emblematic moments of the WRC. After the loss of Henri Toivonen and Sergio Cresto in the 1986 Tour de Corse, the FISA changed the regulations for what would be the last season of Group B. One of the rules mandated the banning of side skirts, which should be removed as soon as the new rules were published. Nevertheless, Peugeot continued to use the part until the organizers of the San Remo rally decided to take action. The factory team was reported to the FISA for the blatant violation of the rules, but there was a problem. FISA's president was Jean-Marie Balestre, a Frenchman who became famous for favoring French drivers and teams in competitions worldwide. After protests from Lancia, the rally organizers decided to disqualify the Peugeot team due to the irregularity, but FIA deemed the part legal in the team's case. The event stuck to its decision, giving the victory to Marco Allen of Lancia, Peugeot's direct rival. With controversy brewing, Balestre's FISA decided to annul the entire result of the event. With the result nullified, the French team became the champion of '86, and Peugeot faced no punishment for the use of side skirts. After the scandal in 1986, the Lancia factory team continued to compete in the WRC until 1992, winning the manufacturer's championship every year. Peugeot would only become champions again in 2000, when they secured 3 consecutive championships. Balestre became embroiled in another controversy years later. In 1989, the official was accused of favoring Alain Prost in the Formula One Japanese Grand Prix, assisting the French driver in winning the championship against the Brazilian Ayrton Senna. If you enjoyed the video and want more information about Formula One, IndyCar, and others, subscribe to the channel. Questions, suggestions, or tips are always welcome. Leave them in the comments below. Until next time.